All right, let's talk USC Trojans football. This is a team that kind of surprised a lot of people with how well they've started the season, heading into an absolutely massive matchup this weekend, of course. But under the radar, the Trojans seem like they're about to make another incredible move. Again, Lincoln Riley getting this team in the right direction. I'm Nick, and this is Saturday Morning Inspection. All right, a lot of people going into the season said, listen, USC, Caleb Williams gone, defense total rebuild, a lot of issues recruiting in the offseason, a lot of guys they lost, flips that went against them. A lot of people thought this was going to be a rough season for USC. So far, it's been the opposite. They've been off to a great start. I see no reason why that momentum shouldn't continue, and we're starting to see that momentum, that on-the-field success, translate now over to the recruiting game. It looks like the USC Trojans are about to pull off an impressive move, a recruiting flip of their own. Let's pull up this report courtesy of SI.com. On Tuesday, September 17th, on 3, USC insider Scott Schrader logged a prediction for the Trojans to land 4-star defensive lineman Floyd Picard. The prediction comes less than 24 hours after Picard announced his decommitment from Oklahoma. That's the big news, where he had been committed since July. Listed at 6'3" and 315 pounds, the Miami Central out of Florida standout is rated as the number 17, defensive lineman in the 2025 recruiting class, according to Rivals. During Picard's official visit to USC, former Los Angeles Rams star Aaron Donald reached out to offer his help in training the young prospect, according to On3. That means this kid must be pretty darn good. They create Heisman winners and big dogs come out of that school, Picard said to On3 in July. Coach Henry Henderson has NFL experience. He has won a Super Bowl, and he could do big things with defensive linemen there. All right, what we're seeing here is we're seeing momentum on the field translating to success off the field. We got a decommit from Oklahoma, and it looks like all the momentum is that the USC Trojans are now going to secure it on their end. I think they're about to pull it off. Momentum for this Lincoln Riley team, momentum for this defense. Future looks bright for the Trojans. Miles, I'm curious what your thoughts are on this. But first, USC fans, in the comment section below, big game this weekend. One of the biggest games, I say the biggest game of the year, but you're already at LSU. Now you go against another blue blood in Michigan. Massive matchup. I like USC chances. They've been playing a lot better than Michigan has so far this season. But I want to hear from you guys. Let us know in the comment section below what you think the final score will be between USC and Michigan. Again, put it in the comment section below. But Miles, what are your thoughts on this latest USC news?
Yeah, I think this is a really interesting situation that USC is in because of some of the things that are said in the article, especially by a guy like Picard. We all know the NIL era has really changed college football quite a lot. So players' mindsets are a little bit different going in. They see themselves as that commodity. They see themselves as a guy who really wants to highlight themselves and make themselves be the best product they can to get the most money they can and eventually to go to the NFL. And that's why I think it's really interesting. He talks about this is a school that creates Heisman winners. This is a school that creates big dogs. People come out, and then he says, this is guy Henderson. He's got NFL experience. Talking about Eric Anderson, co-D coordinator, defensive line coach for the Los Angeles Rams as well. That's where the Aaron Donald link comes in. This is a really interesting spot for Southern Cal to come in because they have so many great legends of the game that came out of that school. The possible link of a guy, Aaron Donald, who didn't even go to Southern Cal, now through coaching tree, Eric Henderson, they're like, hey, I'll help coach this guy up. I think it's a really interesting situation because imagine you get Matt Leinart coming back to coach some quarterbacks. You get Reggie Bush coming back to, coach up some running backs. Really interesting possibilities down the stretch when you throw in all of these greats who have played at USC. All of these interesting things are happening, especially a guy like Aaron Donald saying, hey, I'm going to come help this guy coach him if he comes to Southern Cal. I think it's a really interesting timeline we're in, and the see what happens with a guy like Picard. I'm really interested. I think this flip could happen, but I think if it does, it really sets up Southern Cal for something pretty special.
One of the things that's very interesting in college football, and I feel like it's always been this way, but in the modern era with obviously internet, social media, all that kind of things, narratives can flip so quickly, right? If you go back to last season and really the last couple seasons, the narrative with USC is their defense is absolutely atrocious. How are they going to fix it? Coaching is bad, recruiting issues, yada, 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 on the defensive side of the football. All it takes is 2 games. All it takes is I call it an upset. I guess it technically was over LSU, although I think USC has proven itself to be the better team so far. And then a shutout victory last week over an inferior opponent. All it takes is that performance, and suddenly this narrative is 180 degrees. Now the USC Trojans are back to playing good defense. Now they're back to winning big time recruits. And I tell you what, if USC can sustain this momentum, they're a little bit like Miami, where just because of how competitive the state is and how just, obviously now in the Big Ten, you're going up against another challenging recruiting environment. Love the old Pac-12. I think the Big Ten is a little tougher in terms of recruiting dynamics. If you have like a bad narrative year or two, you can lose a lot of recruits and you can get in kind of a death spiral of talent, specifically on one side of the ball. I think we saw that with USC's defense, but now the narrative has shifted, right? They out-physicaled LSU. They look good defensively. Suddenly now everyone wants to play for USC, and it can happen just like that. And once that momentum really gets going, it's going to be really hard to stop because this is still one of the top 3 or 4 blue bloods in all of college football. There's probably about 5 programs in the country. I would say probably Alabama, Miami, Ohio State, Texas, and USC, where if those 5 teams are good, college football is good. They're one of those 5 classic blue bloods where them being good makes the game better. Everybody wants to see the Trojans good. They've always traditionally been a recruiting powerhouse. Few down years on defense hurts the narrative, but now it looks like that switch is flipped. We're going to see a lot of momentum go behind USC, and I think this first recruiting flip here, according to this prediction, and I think they're going to pull it off. I think it's probably going to happen. You don't get a decommit after a victory from a team like Oklahoma unless there's more news coming. I think this is just the first of many big-time moves coming out of USC.